Hi, David.
How you doing?
Yeah. Thanks, Laura,
Good
for
luck,
picking
Laura.
up. Yeah. Thanks again for doing this on Saturday.
Sanjida just made the Q&A link. So if we have any question, please put in there. Laura, you can open that to choose the question you want to answer.
Laura, are you a bit dark on there?
No, it should be all right.
Yeah, Laura, you know, if you want to increase if you go into where the video icon is at the bottom, right, go video settings, and
welcome to the Nisai Global School. A new age school brings a distinct education to the homes of pupils around the world. Nisai Global School combines the best of British tradition with the future of education. Nisai Global School delivers a Cambridge International accredited curriculum from lower secondary to Cambridge International A-levels. We strive to provide every learner with a holistic and personalized learning experience so that they can fulfill their potential. Students experience both structured and self-paced learning activities within a complete school program in an online platform, the Nissai Virtual Academy. Each pupil, with their own secure username and password, can access all the functions of the school: personalized timetable, house points, announcement board, school email to keep in touch with classmates and teachers, many more. My Courses is where students access their virtual classrooms, as well as learning materials. All lessons are recorded, so pupils can always review the lesson recording. My Folder is where students can download, complete and upload homework and assignments. The Chill Out Zone is a place where pupils from around the world join social clubs and communicate with each other. Students can also seek support from the school office on health, safety, community and their future at the Wellbeing Centre. We always promote the progression of each pupil. Dedicated teachers, form tutors and the customer and student support CAST team support students to achieve their ambitions through personalized learning outcomes. Our live online lessons are delivered in a virtual classroom by qualified teachers, a maximum of 15 pupils per class. Classes are grouped by the student's ability and level of comprehension, so teachers can provide more personalized attention, more one-on-one contact with students. Lessons are always engaging and fully interactive. They use a headset to hear the teacher, see a PowerPoint presentation and participate either verbally using a microphone or by typing in the chat box. At the end of every lesson, the teacher sets a homework assignment. All assignments are marked with detailed feedback. Our online school platform provides a comprehensive reporting suite, allowing partners, customers, and parents at any time to check on a student's attendance and participation, homework submissions, grades, and end-of-term reports, alongside automated non-attendance alerts. Partners, customers, and parents can also log in to their own portal to contact staff at any time for specific queries. Welcome to the Nisai Global School, a new age school that brings a distinctive British education into the homes of pupils around the world. Nisai Global School combines the best of British tradition with the future of education. Nisai Global School delivers a Cambridge International accredited curriculum from lower secondary to Cambridge International A-levels. We strive to provide every learner with a holistic and personalised learning experience so that they can fulfil their potential. Students experience both structured and self-paced learning activities within a complete school programme in an online platform, the Nissai Virtual Academy. Each pupil, with their own secure username and password, can access all the functions of the school: personalised timetable, house points, announcement board, school email to keep in touch with classmates and teachers, many more. My Courses is where students access their virtual classrooms, as well as learning materials. All lessons are recorded, so pupils can always review the lesson recording. My Folder is where students can download, complete and upload homework and assignments. The Chill Out Zone is a place where pupils from around the world join social clubs and communicate with each other. Students can also seek support from the school office on health, safety, community and their future at the Wellbeing Centre. We always promote the progression of each pupil. Dedicated teachers, form tutors and the customer and student support CAST team support students to achieve their ambitions through personalised learning outcomes. Our live online lessons are delivered in a virtual classroom by qualified teachers, a maximum of 15 pupils per class. Classes are grouped by the student's ability and level of comprehension, so teachers can provide more personalised attention, more one-on-one contact with students. Lessons are always engaging and fully interactive. They use a headset to hear the teacher, see a PowerPoint presentation and participate either verbally using a microphone or by typing in the chat box. At the end of every lesson, the teacher sets a homework assignment. All assignments are marked with detailed feedback. Our online school platform provides a comprehensive reporting suite, allowing partners, customers, and parents at any time to check on a student's attendance and participation, homework submissions, grades, and end-of-term reports, alongside automated non-attendance alerts. Partners, customers, and parents can also log in to their own portal to contact staff at any time for specific queries.
In teaching English language, and different techniques and models that we found will work. At Nissai, we've got over 25 years of experience of teaching our online learners, and we'd like to share some of that with you today. My name is Laura, and I will be taking you through this session today. We will look at some information regarding this topic. You will have the opportunity to ask questions, and then we can think about how we can move forward and reflect on our own practice. If at any point you have questions, please include those within the text chat, and we will have that time set aside to answer some of those a little later on. My experience with Nissai, I have been part of this journey for the last 11 years now. Lots of experience within the teaching department there. And my specialty is within education itself, and so the theory behind that. The opportunity for you to learn and to develop and build support within the education community is all part of this process and the way in which we hope to work with you again in the future. So as you saw within that video, we deliver online lessons, which are all live. That means that there is a teacher in the classroom at all times with the students. they're not having to teach themselves. Our teachers therefore need our support and ways in which they can develop, as online teaching can be different to face-to-face classroom teaching. A lot of techniques, however, can be shared between these two areas. Different ways that Nissai is able to support the teacher in the classroom and outside of it will be considered today. The first thing that has really brought all teaching staff together is we've all had to continue teaching during a pandemic. This is a situation that nobody had ever prepared for. Adaptability is something that the teaching profession requires, and that is very true of this pandemic. Everybody has had to adapt and make change to the way that they teach. It's not been able to continue as normal across all schools for all students. Every teacher has had to consider change. That could be due to people being in isolation, being locked down, or their very location. That change requires the teacher to think about their learners and what they know about their student and their need, as well as their own ability to adapt and to change. At Nissai, we were very fortunate in the fact that we deliver online, and that was able to continue. Our lessons carried on as they had been before the pandemic started, and our students didn't miss out on their education. But that's not true for everybody. For pandemic teaching to be successful, practice has had to change. Teachers have had to change. They have had to look at ways in which they can now best support their students in an environment that might be new to them and the learners. A lot of change can be difficult for the students as well. They're no longer able to focus purely on their learning. We have had to think of new techniques that can engage those learners. What it is that can really help them to focus again on their own progression. What you were doing in the classroom won't necessarily work for distance learning. And it's that experience and that expertise that has allowed Nissai to continue to teach throughout this pandemic and to support teachers in getting the best for the students. We have seen during this time that we've got no control and that changes will happen quickly and we have to adapt immediately. Many schools were given no notice of the fact that they would now be delivering distance learning. And teachers would have to prepare their resources, their own ability, and support their students in next to no time. It has not been an easy period for Star 4 students. It has been challenging for many, and we will see the result of that over the coming years. Having a system in place which allows for that learning to continue uninterrupted has given students a good platform and a stepping stone to be able to continue their own progression. So we can think about teaching English language in particular and how Nissai can support teachers with that. English is broken down into 4 key areas. We have reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Each of these areas will have their own challenges and their own techniques and activities that work best for them. So beginning here with reading, we can consider there being a text on a screen. That will work for some learners. Being able to read the information themselves is suitable for a visual learner. If that is their preferred learning style, then that is already supported. However, some students may prefer it to be read by the teacher, meaning that an auditory learning style is being considered. The online classroom with a live teacher can support this. Both of these styles can be working successfully at the same time. Having it on the screen and read by the teacher allows both groups of students to access their preferred learning style. We can also allow for that text to be read by the student. Students will connect to the classroom using a headset, and they can have a microphone included within this. The teacher has the opportunity to allow students to use their microphone and ask them to share that volume, the sound, and read that out loud themselves. All of these activities can be completed in the same way as within your normal classrooms. We're just doing it online. Different activities can be given using these same techniques. We can look at comprehension, at the meaning of a text, at the purpose of a text. We can think about skimming and scanning techniques. We can look at detailed reading. The same skills can be developed using this system as within a mainstream classroom. Reading and comprehension are very important skills within English language and ones that have to be put in place at the beginning. The development of these skills will allow for further progression across the subject. That means our lessons have to be inclusive. All learners have to have the opportunity to succeed. And then we can think about writing. There are different ways that a learner can engage within a writing session. It may be difficult, you think, online to encourage students to write. But we just have to be a little bit more proactive in allowing for that, and sometimes a bit creative in how we achieve this. We have the option to allow students to write. They can write on paper, good old-fashioned pen and paper. They can take a picture on their smartphone and send it as an email. They can scan it and upload it. They can use different technological tools that will allow them to write on the screen. They can annotate within the classroom and write on the board for all students to be able to see that. So although they may spend more time on a computer or a tablet to be able to access their lessons, we can still develop the same skills. The ability to write and the ability to type are both very important skills. As we look towards the future and progression for the young people to the workplace, they will have to include both typing and writing within their tasks. If we are able to use both now, then they will be better prepared for their own future. We look at language within writing. We think about the same elements that you would. So we'd consider grammar, punctuation, spelling. The elements of writing will be important and will be assessed. And so that is something that teachers, no matter what platform they deliver on, have to be aware of. Due to that, we will make sure that there's always marking and feedback. Policies are in place to ensure that marking and feedback are constructive and are done to support the students. To allow for their progression, feedback shows strengths and weaknesses. We would then encourage the students to use that feedback within their next piece of writing, to allow them to put into practice what they have been taught. Again, activities that you might recognize will include group tasks and independent work, fiction and non-fiction writing, formal and informal tasks. The opportunity to develop across the curriculum is still in place. The only thing that is different is the way in which we would deliver them. And the last two areas are speaking and listening. Within the lessons, the teacher will be broadcasting for the majority of that session, which means that there are always opportunities for the learners to listen. They will have to act on what they are told and what they are asked, which proves their listening. But we can also support speaking. Students have the opportunity to use the microphone. Considering how they speak and how they can engage within conversation using a microphone can be part of their learning. Not every student is comfortable with that flow, which means we have more opportunities for them. They can use the text chat. Although they are not using their voice, they can narrate what they would say, showing us if they have that understanding of grammar and being able to be clear within their communication. Speaking and listening can be assessed through particular tasks. And again, we have the opportunity within a classroom to prepare for those tasks. We can see how students engage within these communication opportunities. We can give students time to develop based on feedback. There are chances for them to work as part of a group and as individuals, just again, as you would find within a classroom. Technology can support this. So our classroom features include a breakout room where a group of students can go and work together. Teachers can monitor everything that happens within those breakout rooms, meaning, once again, that they're never on their own to teach themselves. It's always led by the teacher. Within speaking and listening assessments, you would usually find that you have a group task and an individual task. Whether that is a presentation, a speech, some form of debate, that can still happen within an online classroom. Again, a variety of activities can be used for this one. Thinking about using the microphone and building confidence in this, as that's usually the main problem. All of our sessions are recorded, and we can use that as evidence for our own assessment of communication. Students are able to also reflect on lessons. Think about the way in which their teacher has provided a certain piece of information. To go back and listen to the teacher using English effectively. And they can use that reflection time to help their own personal development. A key area within teaching is assessment. We can't get away from it. And again, we have different opportunities. There is always informal, formative assessment happening within lesson. Every time that a learner engages, we can see what they contribute, and we can use that for assessment. Whether they are successful or if they need further support that we can scaffold within our lessons, we have assessed that learner. If they're not engaging, we can also use that as assessment. We can see that something isn't working, maybe too hard, it may be too easy for the particular student. And so we would need to follow through and find out what that learner needs. We also plan for formal assessment. We know the criteria that are needed to be completed by the learners across the whole of English language. And we will make sure that assessment will happen in line with each of those requirements within that course. Teachers are supported within this formal assessment. We make it very obvious what requirements there are, and they can work together for all teachers delivering English to plan these formal assessments. No teacher should be completely on their own in assessment. Being able to take the views of others and to consider their experiences will really benefit you and your students. Our students are usually working towards completing their IGCSE, which means that there will be a final assessment. Their summative assessment as set by the exam board and completed within exam conditions. So we use the Cambridge exam board for our IGCSEs, which means that they provide all of the exam questions and they will mark that to ensure that all learners are working at an equal level around the world. That assessment is again something that we have prepared for within the formal assessment opportunities. They have the opportunity to practice exams, to think about those exam conditions, what it might be like. They will look at past papers, consider how the questions are set out, how much time they should spend on each.
Jadi mana nengok ke meeting itu kayak udah.
Vital within assessment is record keeping. We have to be able to look back at previous assessment, at previous work, to think about strengths and weaknesses, to consider how we can better support those students to get the very best from their education. Our systems allow us to do that and to share that information with the student and with their parents. Our records can show their attendance within lesson, how they have engaged within that lesson, but also the results of their assignments, of their homework. That feedback is also available to both the student and the parent. And that can help with further development. Being able to consider skills that are used in one subject effectively, which can also support their development in English, will allow for, again, the learner to progress. Using cross-curricular opportunities can help with the time factor of learning. We know that there is a lot in the curriculum, many things to cover. And if we can spend less time on one area because it's covered elsewhere, then that will help the learner. Monitoring progression, having a team of people to support each student. We have to be able to keep those records in place and use that to really support your student, to think about the ways in which assessment doesn't have to be scary. If we can assess them without them realizing, and then just tell them, this is what you've done really well, they are then better equipped and more likely to want to engage with further learning and further assessment. Positive reinforcement will help them to progress further. Assessment is something we have to do. There's no choice. If we don't assess, then we're not going to progress. But the ways in which we can do that and the support that we can offer is what we really have to make as good and as seamless as possible. English can be a difficult subject. And there are differences between the genders as to how students engage with this subject. Male and female students can be very different, especially in their younger years. And this is particularly true within reading. During lockdown, that gap has actually grown. So statistics within the UK show that girls are more likely to read for fun, that they choose to pick up a book. Boys are a bit more work. When they do read, 15% more girls said that they enjoyed it than boys. For some reason, they just don't like reading as much as girls do. They don't go into the world of imagination as easily or as often as girls do. And this stays with them through education. One way that we can see a difference in boys' engagement is through the use of an audiobook. They prefer to hear it rather than reading it themselves. Again, we can think about an online learning situation with this setup. Having it read out loud is what we can do in our classrooms. You can use online tools to be able to read a text for you. Formal audiobooks can use famous actors to read that book. And these are just ways that we can encourage boys to engage. But what else can we do? There are, of course, some girls who also need further engagement, but usually it's the boys we work to more in English. Whereas in maths or science, boys are more likely to engage and girls can take a little bit more work. But what can we do for boys in English? How can we get them to really pay attention and to want to do more? Ways in which teachers can share their ideas and they can think about what they've done previously, things that have worked, their own experiences, can help us to help the students. We can think of ways in which the examples that we give can be more suited to boys. Think about our texts and what we read. So not everything has to have a happy ending. Not everything has to involve magic or mythical creatures. We can think about technical pieces of text. Things that boys are interested in. Maybe computers and computer games. We can think about outdoor activities. English is a subject that we have flexibility in, and we should use that to help all students to engage. So if we think about our study and how we can include English in all of this, there are options for cross-curricular activities to help to engage all students and especially boys. Many students will be hesitant to contribute if they're not confident. So using a topic or a subject that they are confident in can help them to develop their English skills. Think about science and science experiments. You can use reading within that. They have to read about the safety, or maybe they will present their results using a spoken or a written method. So they can develop their skills by completing their science work, if that's something that they're interested in. Maybe in geography, they do a project about volcanoes. They will complete research, meaning that they are reading about that information. They can create posters and display materials, meaning that they are writing down that information. That level of creativity and allowing for cross-curricular study allows English skills to be developed. And once we can show them, you've already done this, they're more willing to do it again. Again, we need to think about our record keeping. So how can we prove that they have developed these skills? And we have systems that we use to be able to do that. We mark off each objective that is taught, showing that we've used English in this lesson today. Their English teacher can see what students have already done within other subjects. That support is then in place between peers. We can see what other subjects a student is working in if we feel like they are struggling. And we can ask our peers, ask the other teachers to support the process. Lesson observations is another way to support the teachers. Sometimes we might feel like it's hard to be observed. We don't like thinking that somebody is judging us. But they should be a positive experience. We get that feedback to the teacher to allow them to develop and to share best practice. If there is a difficulty, then we can provide further training and support. Teachers should be constantly developing. We're lifelong learners. We need to think about how we can improve to best support our learners. Best practice is something that will constantly change. We want to build expertise. And observations can help us to do that. And we'll always think of the fact that if we can get better, then that means that the students will have a better experience. None of us are perfect. There are always ways that we can continue to develop ourselves. And that can only be a good thing. The key area to consider is technology. So we think about how we can use that technology. Digital literacy is something that is becoming more important. It will be almost as important as using the spoken language as we communicate around the world. So English is widely spoken, one of our key languages. And so to be able to develop that skill will help the learners as they move forward, particularly within areas of business. We want them to be confident and competent within using the language, but also within using technology. Many workplaces will now have an online element. If they can develop their skills during childhood, they're better placed to use that in adulthood. Young people are practically born with technology at their fingertips. Old-fashioned teaching techniques won't always now engage them. We have to adapt to their interests. We're trying to hook them, to get them excited and interested in learning. To forcibly make them sit and do a task that they don't enjoy is not going to make them a lifelong learner. Technology can be used to help with that. We can use technology to help with engagement. It can remove barriers. it means that we have more access. We can have training with people around the world. We can think about different countries and their roles within education. And so we think about training and support and what we can offer to teachers as they deliver English language. Teacher training is a key part of this. It helps to develop a toolkit that teachers are able to use within their own lessons. Many teachers aren't formally qualified. They may be classroom assistants and teaching assistants that develop experience and use that to help their own development. But formal teacher training can provide more information and really allow you to reflect on your own practice and what you need to move forward with. Confidence is also required. So think about your own abilities. Is there something in terms of the language that you're not confident with? You will be passing on this information to students. So what is it that you need to be best placed for that? Group discussions and forums, allowing peers to talk to peers. Teachers being able to think about what they've done and how that can help. It might be something you've never thought of before and somebody is using effectively every day. Again, this can be within a local area, but also around the world. Thinking about roles and responsibilities and how we can support other people means that we're not becoming overloaded. That one person has this job. They will complete that and support you to be able to do yours. These are all ways in which we can develop and we can support with teachers. I've seen some questions already coming through in the chat, so please do continue to send more as we take a little moment to go through some of these and think about ways in which we can support you further. Some of those questions I'll just go through now. Yeah. Yeah, if we can put those up on the screen, that's great. One problem that has been highlighted there in the questions is the potential of parents completing work for your students. This is something that we have to be aware of. It is, of course, possible, but with our lessons, we have the students with us in those lessons. We are thinking about the ways in which they contribute normally and the way in which they might say a particular phrase. And you can pick up on that within their written work. So you will be able to recognize if something is different. When it comes to the final assessment on an IGCSE, and they go to sit their exam, they have to provide ID, and that's done direct on a face-to-face manner. So you'd be able to ensure that it's not a parent sitting the final exam. So any work that the parent does will actually disadvantage the student overall. But building a relationship with the students helps us to actually be able to monitor that it is their own work. It's difficult for question 2 there, how to teach English for early childhood during the pandemic. It can be difficult for younger children. They don't have as much concentration to be able to sit in front of the computer, and they won't have as much ability to read a lot of information from the screen. But that is where you would have to work with family and with local support to be able to provide a mixture of activities. So some online work and some face-to-face, where they're able to be a bit more creative and consider the mark making. We wouldn't want students to turn into robots just looking at their screen all day. We want them to develop other skills as well. And so having a mixture of activities online and offline would be the best for early childhood. Number 3, how should we deal with the prescribed curricular things? Yeah. The new normal, as they keep calling it, means that we have had to adapt everything to fit the old scheme. It's possible that there are some things which are just not suitable during this period, during the pandemic. But there are ways around it. We can think about different options of being able to develop the ideas of others and how they have engaged. And I think that's really the key thing of sharing experiences. Being able to complete the curriculum is something that we've done for all of these years. And we use the same curriculum as the mainstream face-to-face schools do. So it is possible. But sometimes we need to think about experiences that other people have had and ways in which they've been able to achieve that. We might now just look for those indicators in different places. Technology within different countries can be difficult, absolutely. But we need to encourage that development in the infrastructure in getting this opportunity out there. And again, thinking about different students reacting in different ways, we're exactly the same as teachers. We have different likes and different interests and different strengths with technology as well. So being open and aware of that is something that we just have to be open to all of that change, and again using best practice and other people's experiences is really something that will help us in the long term. Struggling readers, there are different programs that are available to help with this. We have got a program called Units of Sound, and that can help with reading, and something that will be mentioned more in our final one of these sessions on the 4th of September. There are options, ways in which we can support readers, and different ways that we can break down information. Knowing that our students are grouped by ability shows that we can work on particular skills within us. So all learners will be around about the same level, and we can work at their pace. Meaning that in some lessons, we will have more showing on the screen than in others. Some lessons will have more pictures. Some lessons we will have more opportunity to use colour. You can think about the way that particular learners need support and help them with that. But yeah, there are skills and tools out there that we can use online for learners that struggle to read. Again, tracking that, it's all about keeping record of skills. For question 5 there, we look at the learning criteria, the objectives, and how they can be marked, the evidence that we have that they've engaged with particular activities, and also think about common problems. As we give detailed feedback on every assignment, and that is recorded, we can follow the progress and see if there is a particular skill or a particular element that each time we're reminding them to improve upon, which shows us then that more work is needed on that. And so we can track all progress across all areas. Question 6. Students will progress in different times. So if students take a long time to answer, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not trying to. So if they only give a short answer, or it takes them a long time, they've done what they can. And we have to praise them in the same way as we would a student who answers immediately. It can be part of their learning style that they have to listen to all of the information before they can begin to process it. So it might just take them a bit longer, but they're still engaged. So if they answer at all, they are engaged, and we should be pleased with that and see how we can actually support them further in this. The fact that we record our sessions can again help our students, because they can go back, listen to it again, reflect on it a bit further, and then email their teacher more information now that they've had time to think about it. Question 7, if there's a special needs student in the class, what's the best way to teach the entire class? If you have one student with a particular need, then think about what they require from you. Do their needs allow you to teach everybody the same way. So you might have a student who suffers with dyslexia. And what supports their learning is having a blue background with a different shade of text. You can do that for all of your students. It's not going to disadvantage them that the background is blue instead of white. So it's possible that everybody can adapt to the same skill. If there is a more particular need, it's about awareness and knowing that they may need a bit of extra support. You might have to provide them information before the lesson so they can prepare. They might need another member of staff to support them. So it completely depends then on your student and on their needs. But seeing what adaptations you can make that are suitable for everybody can make your job a little bit easier. Number 8, students refuse to turn their cameras on in an online classroom. I believe that it's completely up to the student. We don't have cameras. Even our teachers don't have their cameras on. That can help students to concentrate. The first part, they're not looking at what's going on around them or pulling faces. They can concentrate completely on what's being delivered online. If you have the option to turn the cameras on, and some students like to, then they can. But I don't think that it will affect their learning if they choose not to. It's not going to limit what information they are receiving. We just need to think about how we can make sure that they are engaged, making sure that they are answering questions and that you are asking direct questions to them. That can help to make sure that they're getting what they need. Yeah, help to make sure that they're getting what they need. To make sure that they're getting what they need. Yeah, help to make sure that they're getting what they need. To make sure that they're getting what they need. To make sure that they're getting what they need. Yeah, help to make sure they're getting what they need.
Welcome to the Nisai Global School, a new age school that brings a distinctive British education into the homes of pupils around the world. Nisai Global School combines the best of British tradition with the future of education. Nisai Global School delivers a Cambridge International accredited curriculum from lower secondary to Cambridge International A-levels. We strive to provide every learner with a holistic and personalised learning experience so that they can fulfil their potential. Students experience both structured and self-paced learning within a complete school program and online experience, the Nissai virtual academy. Each pupil, with their own secure username and password, can access all the functions of the school: personalised timetable, house points, announcement board, school email to keep in touch with classmates and teachers, many more. My Courses is where students access their virtual classrooms as well as learning materials. All lessons are recorded, so pupils can always review the lesson recordings. My Folder is where students can download, complete and upload homework and assignments. The Chill Out Zone is a place where pupils from around the world join social clubs and communicate with each other. Students can also seek support from the school office on health, safety, community, and their at the well-being centre. We always promote the progression of each student. Dedicated teachers, form tutors, and customer and student support cast teams support students to achieve their ambitions through personalised learning outcomes. Our live online lessons are delivered in a virtual classroom by qualified teachers. A maximum of 15 pupils per class. Classes are grouped by the student's ability and level of comprehension, so teachers can provide more personalised attention, more one-on-one contact to students. Lessons are always engaging and fully interactive. They use a headset to hear the teacher, see a PowerPoint presentation, and participate either verbally using a microphone or by typing in the chat box. At the end of every lesson, the teacher sets a homework assignment. All assignments are marked with detailed feedback. Our online school platform provides a comprehensive reporting suite, allowing partners, customers, and parents at any time to check on a student's attendance and participation, homework submissions, grades, and end-of-term reports, alongside automated non-attendance alerts. Partners, customers, and parents can also log in to their own portal to contact staff at any time for specific queries. Alongside automated alongside customers. There are specific queries to contact staff at any time for a specific queries. Alongside customers.
Okay, we have a little bit of time left where we'll consider a few more options of how you can take this forward and really engage with it further. But for now, we're just showing you here the QR code that you can scan to be able to get your e-certificate form. We would ask that you provide some feedback as to the session today and then download that form. For the next session, we will think about ways in which you can support each other and we can continue to support you. There have been some further questions we've not been able to answer today. We will try to get these answered and back with you as well. We will continue and to answer those questions. So something that we can think about as teachers is continued professional development. We will always try to develop ourselves, to think about changes within education and different rules and legislation that we have to update and keep in line with. How can we do this? What do you look for within professional development? What do you hope to achieve? There are different experts all around the world. What would you like to learn? Can you develop this training within your own locality, or do you need to look further afield? What is it that would really help you to become the very best teacher that you can be? Time is a big part of our professional development. When this will happen, how it will happen, the way in which that's delivered. A session like this online or face-to-face. Who goes? Do you have every member of the team able to access the same training? Or do you have some members who then share that? Professional development is something that I've mentioned previously can help you. And if it helps you, then it helps your students. And that's why we do it. So we can offer different options for that development, thinking about starting with formal teacher training for those who require it, thinking about having a forum like this, where we can get together and discuss different options and different experiences. What is it within professional development that will then help you to go further? With professional development, what do you hope to achieve? Using an online platform can help you to get more. Within the questions, we talked about how some countries have different experiences and different options available to others. Using an online professional development can help us to find out what's available in other countries and what we can then try to replicate within our own world. We never stop learning. We learn from each other and we learn from our students. And then we have to share that. So things that I learn from my peers, my colleagues, I can share with you, even though you've not met them. It's our responsibility to pass on good ideas and to build a teacher toolkit. Considering the pandemic and the big change that everybody's had to make to use more online teaching, you can use the expertise of those who have been doing this for a long time. We're all learning and we'll keep doing it. And being able to support each other within that can be a benefit to ourselves as well. So your CPD, your professional development, is something that must be taken seriously. It's something that will help you to help your students. And if there is a way in which we can support you with that, then that's absolutely something that as a professional, we would want to do. You can consider peer assessment and peer support. So how can we help each other? Using observations, using standardization, thinking about how students around the world and teachers around the world differ, but are also the same. Times when more support might be needed. We know that there are different times during the year that can get a bit busy and a little bit stressful. Support from others during that time can help us. And so again, what is it that you think will actually help with your development? you should always be reflecting on your own practice and thinking about what you've done well and what you actually want a bit more help with. And don't be afraid to ask somebody for that help. Whether that is a peer, a colleague, or managerial positions. It might be that somebody right there can help you immediately. It might be that someone like us will come in and support more long term. But what is it that would benefit you? Being able to work with your peers shows that strength, that you recognize that sometimes some people will be better than you. But sometimes they can assess you and go away having learnt what you do. That option to support each other is part of that support. So we can think about ways in which, as we have gained in experience and we've been gaining in knowledge, other people have helped us. Think of our own education and the way that teachers supported us. We want to then pay that forward. So what is it that you're looking for? Reflection is vital. We reflect on each lesson that we deliver. We reflect on each student that we deliver to. Okay. Think about what you do. It can be difficult to engage all of our learners in English, especially boys. So what can I do? What techniques are tried and tested? What can we do to build up engagement from all learners? What experience have I had that you might not have? What do you already do, and what can be added to your toolkit? What are you confident in, and what would you like more support with? And ask for it. If we reflect on a lesson and think, oh, that didn't go very well, I could probably use some help there, but we don't ask for that help, we're not going to progress. As lifelong learners, we need to think about acting the way that we want our students to act. When we need help, we need to ask for it. We need to take feedback and act on it. We support those around us that are maybe weaker, and we are willing to learn from others. So really reflect on your own practice. Think about your lessons. Think about your professional development. What would you like to add to your toolkit? What strengths would you like to develop? and ask yourself just 3 questions. What support do you need? How would the learners benefit? And how can we help? So when you highlight an area that you need support, why does that need support? What would you hope to get out of that support? How does life get better for your students? How do they engage more within their education and see their results further improve? And where does that help come from? What can we do? Professional to professional, peer to peer. How can I help? You have the option now to download your e-certificate for your attendance today. The link is in the chat and we can put that QR code back up onto the screen. And please do get in touch, give us feedback to help us to help you. We have one further session a couple of weeks from now on the 4th of September, where we think about students and how we can further support them in their development of English language. If you have any further questions, then again, please do ask those and we will attempt to answer everything and get those back to you. So thank you for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you. The option to sign up for the next session, somebody can maybe give us a link for that one into the text chat there.